Okay, here we are, Baruch Hashem, beginning a new chapter in Shearim B'Tfilah, 5 minutes of Tfilah, Baruch Hashem, and we move on to the chapter called Shaiva. Shaiva, which Rav Shimshon Pincus quotes the pasuk in Shemais, Klal Yisrael, Vatal Shavasam El Elokim. And their Shavasam, and their outcry, rose up to Hashem, min ha'avodah, intense backbreaking labor. Klal Yisrael feels at a point of despair, shaiva, crying out from this place of intensity. Shimshon Pincus says, you know what this is like? This is what we would call the hysteria, hysterical crying. Someone who hears, Rahman al-Islan, the worst news possible, he loses it, he breaks down, he's crying. That is this type of tefillah called shaiva. But now Shimshon Pincus addresses a fundamental idea which probably some of us in the back of our brains are starting to wondering, that we're being very extreme. We started the previous chapter about Bitzer, crying out to Hashem. Now we're going to Shaiva, which sounds like even more extreme, hysterical outcry. If you flip through the Sefer, you're then going to get to next in Na'aka, which is groaning, another type of intense cry. And the question is, why are we being so intense? And he quotes that we know we say in Kaddish every day, Salaisain uva'asain. We say the Kaddish is a prayer and a request is a tefillah. And we know that in the terms of Chazal, what is tefillah? Tefillah is a bakasha of rachamim. So why are we going so deep? And he says a very penetrating thought. If we take a moment and we think about anything we need, whether it's parnasa, whether it's health, whether it's children, whether it's chachma, any detail that we need in our life, at the very depth of it, isn't stam, I need it. Stam, I need money. Yeah, it's nice if I have a brain. You know, if my children listen, it'd be good. Health, says the Shimshon Pincus. Think about that. Any of the critical items that we need, that we're davening for, that we're focusing in on, each and every one is extreme, is something that in reality the entire world and our entire little world depends upon. And that's the reason he says, of course it's a high level, but at the depth, at the truth of the matter, when you go into the MS, what's the MS? The MS is that we need all these things to the level of hysterics, to the level of breaking down. If one doesn't have health, if one doesn't have parnasa, and that is how important it is. And he continues, and he quotes numerous midrashim over here, in which he explains David HaMelech teaching us all over the place how he's crying out to Hashem to be saved. And he says, now maybe one would think this is only in Torah. Maybe you tell someone, what did you learn today about tefillah? And you tell them, oh, I learned how important every item we daven for is. So someone's going to say to you, yeah, okay, fine. Torah is very important. But really, every item you daven for is important? So he quotes a Gemara, and he says that the Gemara teaches us a tefillah about Yavitz. And the tefillah is in Baruch Tevarcheni, Verbeisi es Gvuli, Vayisi Yodecha Imi. What are all these tefillahs? These are all tefillahs for physical items. These are all tefillahs for parnasa, for the mundane, for the physicalities. Says Shimshon Pincus, you see very, very clearly that it's not just the spiritual elements that we need. We live in this world. Hashem made us human beings of flesh and blood, and our mundane needs are also critically important to the point of Shaiva, of hysterics. And he concludes a detail that we're going to have to pick up with. He quotes David HaMelech. David HaMelech and Shmuel Beis is dancing. And David HaMelech says the pasuk, David mikarker b'chol eiz lifnei Hashem. He's davening with all his might. Says the Shimshon Pincus, you know what you see over here? You see that this is not just davening. This is not just tefillah, that when we think about it in the depth, in the truth, has to be 101%, has to be with your entire body and soul to the point of hysterics. Says the Shimshon Pincus, everything we do in Avodas Hashem. David HaMelech was dancing, Kavod HaTorah. He was dancing for the Aron that also has to be B'kol Eis. And that's the lesson we'll end with today, that everything we do, from a chesed, from a smile, from a good word, to a tefillah and to Torah, has to all be realizing how critically, how intensely important it is, down to really, the goal is one day to be able to become b'shaiva, hysterical, over that which we're davening to Hashem for. Chevra, have a